Have you ever seen a tool like this? I don't even know where I got this thing from, but what's interesting about it is the best gardening tool that I own. If I want to tear up some grass, this has about a 4-pound head on it. This here is like a hammer, and this is a very sharp hoe-like device, and you can come down and you can just shave right through it. It has enough mass to it that you can cut through roots, tree roots, grass, whatever, and do a wonderful job. Well, a little while back the handle broke, so I made a new handle for it, but I still don't know what it was, and I've loaned it to my gardener a few times, and he said this is the best tool he's ever found, but he doesn't know where to get one. Then I find out that this is an antique tool. It's actually called an ADZE, A-D-Z. Sometimes they add an E at the end. And it was used by folks to make timber into workable lumber, and they would chip away at the timber with this. Well, I went onto eBay and I found the head of an antique ADZE, and it was $31, $9 shipping and tax, so a little over like around 44 bucks I paid for this. And luckily I have a nice scrap piece of oak, real thick one, that I can use, and I'm going to make a handle for this, and I want to gift it to my gardener so he could have this amazing tool himself. If you'd like to join me and see how I'm going to do this, come along, let's take a look. Now on this handle, I don't think I got the shape just right. I noticed I downloaded a picture of one, and in the picture I could see the handle goes out here, kind of comes here, and it stays thin at the end. I believe when they were using it, they would grip it really low and chip away at the wood. When you're using it as a hoe, you're holding it a little bit higher. So I had to add this wood here as a knob so your hand wouldn't just slip off. But I got a thick enough piece of lumber here where I can actually make that into the one piece. So what I'm going to do is I laid this down and I sketched around it, and I'm trying to sketch in a little bit more of a bow. So that's what I'm going to use for my bandsaw to come through. I'm using a crayon to go through here and give me a rough outline. I want it to dip here and kind of rise here again, and I want to leave the butt end of it really thick so your hand won't slip off the end. This is going to be a rough bandsaw cut. Most of the shaping I'm going to do is going to be done later with planes and probably a spindle sander. Okay, let's go on and do the cutting. Okay. This is heavy, so be aware of that. See these helping hands? I met my girlfriend 57 years ago, and guys, I'll tell you, you take good care of that woman of yours and she'll be around helping you for a long time too.
That's it?
That's all. Oh, can you see how heavy that is, though?
Yeah, that is. It would fall off.
Just you put your stuff here, I'll take care of it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now I have a very thick piece of wood, and my handle obviously isn't going to be this thick, so how do I take it down? Well, it's too much to use any type of plane on, so I'm going to make a quick pattern. I'm going to set my old one next to it, making sure to leave a little excess wood at the base to catch my hand. I'll mark it, and then up at the top where it's going to go into the head, I need to leave a generous amount of wood, and I can shape that in later.
So you can see I mark it there. But gosh, my wood's so thick and I have to remove so much. I'm going to do it with a bandsaw. And the way I'm going to mark it is I'm going to take a little tool that I made here. And you can see I use this thing a lot already. This is on my video if you want to make one. It's just got a bunch of holes in it. And I can take this and stick a pencil in the hole at 1/2 inch. And I can run it right on down the side. And I can make a line parallel with the edge, exactly a 1/2 inch in on each side.
And I'll take this and loosen it, flip it around, and do the same thing on the other side.
Now cutting through the vertical, I'm going to swing in here from the thick head, and I'm going to cut that parallel line down one side and then come back down the other. I've only owned this machine for a couple of months now and I love it. You can run it down the edge and remove all those little ripples from the bandsaw, get internal and external curves very easily. I'm going to use my router and a 1/2 round bit to test the cut on a piece of scrap wood. And if it looks good, then I'll go ahead and use it on my handle. I'm just going to run it down the side right now. I have this piece of paper in the back to catch some of the debris, and I'll run it down the side. Really be careful when you set these down. Set it down and always look that bit down until it comes to a dead stop. I'm happy with the cut I got on the scrap wood. Now I can go ahead and use it on my real handle.
I've been using this tool called a spoke shave, and it's basically a planer that you use with 2 hands, and they used to use it on wooden spokes on wagon wheels. And you can see I can go along here and really do some nice rounding, and it shaves off the wood and the fiber so it's super smooth, so you don't even hardly have to sand when you're done. And you can see I've made quite a little pile of sawdust on the floor. So now I'm going to use my random orbital sander and hit this spot right here. Well, I just got my shipment here of the top of this, and this is called an ADZE, and I got it from eBay. It's used, it's vintage tool. Wow, it's pretty big. It's actually, the blade is actually bigger than the one I had. It's very sharp and it's nice and heavy. This is going to be a great tool. Can't wait to see it on the handle.
I've got an idea. I'm going to take my spindle sander with this small drum and I'm going to cut into it places where I can grip with each of my 4 fingers and wrap around and grip with my thumb. So it's going to be customized. Look at that. And watch how it fits.
I notice when I measure this, the width of it is pretty consistent all the way from top to bottom, but it is longer this way than here than it is here. So it's really made to have a narrow handle put in, and then as it goes down through there it gets stuck, and I couldn't do that. So what I've done is I've measured. First thing I'm going to do is make these cuts, and then I'll get this width, and then I'll make some other cuts to try to make that taper in there. Notice the scrap I cut off from the other side I've taped on with blue tape, which gives me a nice straight run against the fence. Here I'm taking my homemade branding iron and putting my initials into the wood. If you'd like to see how to make one of these, it's on another one of my videos. Rubbing on a little bit of penetrating stain really makes that grain come out and pop, and I love the way that looks. I finish things off with this water-based urethane. I'll put 2 or 3 coats on. It only takes about 10 minutes to dry between each coat, and making sure to sand off any imperfections in between coats. This will give it waterproofing and a little bit of sheen. I've cut a couple of oak wedges here, and they fit just nice and tight, and I'll put some epoxy glue and pound these in with a lot of force. I really like the way this turned out. It feels really good in your hands, and boy, the weight of this head, you don't have to do much more than lift it up and it's going to cut through the sod very easily. On the top, I'll show you in this angle, I smothered it in epoxy to make it finished off. Okay, I'm done. I got it right here. The handle is good and strong. My hands fit in here. And when you start whacking that, it's going to tear up lawn like you wouldn't believe. Thanks for watching.